Yeah. Stand. Right. All right. Let's turn the MIDI blues down. Hi there, everybody. How are y'all doing? Happy Thursday. Let me figure out where I want my mic to be. Oh, I completely forgot earlier. I turned my light because I was shifting stuff around down there and I turned it toward the window. There we go. Anyway, hi, my name is Bear. I'm barely watercoloring. Um, how's everybody doing today? Hope you're all doing well. I'm just sitting here, just hanging out, enjoying my time until I get started. I need to look to make sure everything's still all oriented, right? This is straight. This is straight along with that. This is straight up against it and square. What does it look like up there? It absolutely does look tilted a little bit. Let me turn you a little bit. Sorry. This way? Oh, too far. Right there. There we go. That's better. I must have bumped into it. Anyway, hi. What am I doing today? Well, of course, I've got stuff everywhere right now. You can go there. You can go there. I got a bunch of stuff out. You can go there. You can go there. Ah, there we are. Monday. Uh, Monday, my other half and I got on and we were working on some greeting cards. We were both streaming our cameras at the same time. I was up in the top left corner. He was over on the bottom right. He was working with his alcohol and acrylic marker sets, and I was working with watercolor, and I did these. So I've got a couple of greeting cards that I did. One was ornaments, which I thought came out really cute. And then I did this, which I really liked. Christmas tree out of nebula material and the little starship flying around it, like it's the garland, right? So those came out really cool. So that made me go back and look at the other greeting cards I made, which were these guys. A little spacey forest scene, and then a little Voyager and a little Borg Nebula kind of scene. You can tell I have a theme, right? I love space. So I've got 4 here that are all roughly the same size. They're on 4x6. I tried to cut them roughly the size that would fit into like a 4x6 like greeting card envelope when the time comes. And then we'll flip them over and I'll have my other half right on the back. I don't know if he knows that yet, but I mean, I think it's kind of assumed he's got the immaculate handwriting between us. So whatever we have to write, he's going to write. Clearly you can tell because my handwriting is ass. It looks like this. It's legible, but it's not beautiful. So Kate will actually look like a professional did it. No pressure. And then I realized I have other things I've done that are at or close to that size. Oh my goodness, I have so much. Okay. Why am I complaining? This is a good problem to have. So I've got these lightning bolts that I did a few weeks ago, which aren't too far off. They're really close to the same size. They're the exact same length, but they're slightly wider. So they would probably not fit into an envelope easily. So what I'd probably end up doing, hi goddess, I'd probably end up trimming these down that are oversized, and I would just trim the entire white border off completely so that the picture on the inside of it, God, it's even wider than that. I may have to trim some of the picture too. Whatever is necessary to make it fit. No, I think it'll probably fit in there. Yeah, it just has to fit within the bounds of the 4x6. So yeah, I would just trim the white border off of these and keep the rest of the image. And if it's a little bit smaller in the envelope, who cares? It just can't be too big or it'll, not close properly, right? Or not fit in it. So I've got these guys. So these can be greeting card candidates as well, right? I have the back in the day when I did the water, when I was learning about how to paint water, I've got these guys. They're not as good, so I'm probably not going to use them. And the whole reason for that is because the paper I did these on is really thin and flimsy. It's got like no real like rigidity to it, so it doesn't look great. Um, these were practice pieces anyway, so I just brought them out in case because they're the same size, right? So I'll put these to the side for now. Uh, I've got these. These I think are on firmer paper. This one included actually. It seems to be on firmer paper. When I was making my hot air balloon that day, and I made this little like sample, like kind of antique looking, like antique paper hot air balloon. So that one's a possibility as well. These random guys that I cut into pieces from one larger one, these were all one piece at one time. Oh God, let me see if I can figure out how to piece it back together again. Is it this way? And then here, and then here. I think I actually nailed it. But yeah, it was one big painting and I cut it into sizes, right? Because I figured when they were smaller, they would look a little bit better as abstract images than when it was a whole larger one that I didn't like. And that worked for my brain. So these are pretty cool looking by themselves, I think. Whatever orientation you want them to be. I kind of like it like this. It looks like a tree. And then this one's pretty because I absolutely adore the color and the shades of the blues in the corner of that. I love how that came out. And then this one. So when it comes to greeting cards, I have more than I know people right here, to be perfectly fair. Um, for the most part, if I include coworkers, if I wanted to give stuff to coworkers, then I might need some more. So we'll see. I'm just going to keep making. And then, we'll divvy out cards based on the theme for who we think they might belong to, who would enjoy them the most. So there's 4 right here, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we've currently got 11 greeting cards or greeting card candidates out of just the ones that are closely shaped to 4x6. So we've got a lot of those. And then we have some other items. This guy I did one day when I did like a random, let's paint a bunch of random shit from Instagram. Looking at some tutorials and images people did there. These kind of fit the bill, some of them. Most of them are fairly 4x6 if you count the white border around them. So I can clearly cut these to size and they'll be smaller than 4x6, but it would work. But it's got a similar problem as kind of a slightly thinner paper. So I'm not how sure they'll hold up, but they're pretty. So if anything, I may cut them to a size that's frameable and give them out to people. So they can, if they want to get a cheap frame, they can shove it into something and stick it on a counter or a desk or something, right? So that's an option for these. I have, I'm just going to move stuff all over the place. I have this large painting that I did that was just an experiment using Payne's Gray and then black and like I think more Payne's Gray for the stars on top of them. That I can technically cut these down to size if I really wanted to. So if I wanted to cut out additional greeting cards from stock that I've already got, I could use these if I really wanted to make cards out of stuff I've already done without, intent of making new greeting cards. And then I've got some other ones here that I thought I could do the same thing with too, right? I've got my, this little nebula could be cut down to size possibly, or given out the way it is. This I just have because it's cute. I love it. Because it looks like this one. I'm kind of doing a similar theme when I do these. I love how this one came out the other day though. Yeah, I got a little starship in here, a little D Space Nine with a wormhole right there. Little tiny guy. Looks like an ant. It's a little space station. And then this one, I'm hiding a little Voyager in it right there. It's not really hidden, but it's there. So I don't know. These might be options to do things with for Christmas. I don't know. Or to just give away the way they are or frame them and give them life. I have options. Oh, I missed these. I've got no, these are the ones I said were too thin. Okay, I put them over there. Oh, and I've got this. I've got my pretty water scene I did that I don't know what to do with. I may leave it the way it is. I may come back to it someday and try to paint a little boat on it or something. I don't know. I gotta get good at painting boats before I ruin something like this. So we'll see. So yeah, I have a lot of options for greeting cards that I've already made, ones that I can make from stock that I've already got. But at the end of the day, I was going to make a couple more intentional intentional greeting cards today. And then if I have time, work on some other stuff. So I've got from Monday, I have two more 4x6 sheets already cut out. And what I was thinking, and I don't remember if it was me or my other half. I think he might have said it. We already love how well this came out so much that I think the goal might be to do something similar to this and either do more trees or pick additional Christmas themed objects in 2D, two dimensions, like a wreath, Santa's sleigh, whatever we can think of that's got a big enough surface area that we can cordon it off and be able to do a similar thing as we did here. This was clearly much easier because it's just straight lines inside that tree. We made a triangle and painted inside it. Anything else we do is going to be a bit more finicky, right? To guard around with tape. So we'll see how we do. We'll figure something out. And worst case scenario, we'll do more trees and just do different nebulas in them. Who knows, right? We'll just play. We only have two, unless I make more. So yeah, or we could do more of these if you wanted to as well. So we're just going to figure it out as we go. Before I go into that though, let's open up my paint and get it wet down a little bit and say hi. Hey. Oh my gosh, I love how that came out. The tree or this or both? I think they both came out really well. The ship trail, yeah, I like it too. I really love how this one came out. It came out super cute. So I would not be opposed to just making like two more of this. I don't know what ship I would do. Maybe I do like the OG Enterprise or something. We'll see. Or something else altogether. But the idea of this is super cute. I just love the visual of all of that. So something to consider. Um, go ahead and wet my paint down. While that's happening, Goddess, how are you doing? You having a good day? Right. Let that sit for a minute. I am going to cozy on up. Let's get some tape out because I'm sure we're going to need it. Probably get some different sizes. You and let go. One of you. And if we need it, one of you. So I have three different sizes. There we go. Yeah, so we have a couple different sizes of tape available to us. Yeah. Just kind of existing right now. Thankfully, it's Thursday, so the week is almost up, so I don't have to think about work so much. Says the person that will just sit there and think about work when he's off. I do. It's such a bad habit. I wish I could break myself of it, but at the same time, thinking about random work stuff is what makes me think at random times of solutions for work things. You know, I'm fine with that. Great for the most part, except came home and my poor baby little girl doggy has a hurt leg. No idea what happened. It was fine when I left. Oh no. Oh no. Did she, I mean, I know you don't know. Maybe she jumped down from something too hard and landed weird or got pinned under something temporarily or something fell. You're finally sitting down to eat. Oh, girl. If you need to lurk or anything, please just sit down and chill. You're totally fine. I'm just sitting here. Oh, did you see my new opening screen? Well, I say new. I just modified it a little bit. I'll show you. I made a slight change. One of the chat GPT, like watercolor sample images I had it make for my bear character a long time ago. It was really cute, but I didn't know what to do with it. So I've just been sitting on it. And I thought, hey, instead of that Voyager animation at the beginning that could get me called out by, Paramount or whatever, never. They would have to know I exist, but why take chances? I took it down and put this up instead, and put some of my art on the left and right, title for whatever the stream is, and then finally a countdown timer. I've had it. I just hadn't been using it. So it counts down to like, I don't know, 10 or 11 minutes after I start stream. So but yeah, I figured this is nice and cute and it's a nice clean like redesign of what I already had. So yeah, yeah, super cute. And someday, this guy, oops, my tape. Someday, oops, I hope that didn't land on tape. It did a tiny bit. Um, this guy over here is due for an upgrade. Uh, I don't know fully how or what. I mean, my personal preference is so difficult. My personal preference for this is to actually paint one. Because as much as I love ChatGPT, it's a means to an ends for me. It does beautiful work, but the last damn thing I need is people to be coming in, seeing that I use ChatGPT or AI for anything, and then get pissy about it. You know, Mhm. Part of me is like, whatever, it's my opinion. I can do what I want. But I do have my own personal boundaries and rules for it. I've talked about bare minimum being I'm not ever going to use anything AI related to try to make money from it. For me, it is a learning tool and a bridging the gap tool for doing things that I do not yet have the skill nor capability to do myself, nor the money to pay somebody else to do for something that I am doing as a hobby streaming that is making me practically zero money. I have not yet ever had a single payout from Twitch, and I don't know if I ever will anytime soon. It's just pennies that come in from the ad rev. So it's just what it is, right? I'm using it as a bridging the gap. That's all it's there for. And as a training tool for me, right? Like sometimes I need the inspiration to be able to learn, oh, I can do this. And then I can build upon that and do something totally me, right? Um, so that's what it's there for me. Anyone that ever comes in and sees it and wants to ask the question, is that AI generated? I will say yes, and here's the reason why. And when I get annoyed of that, I'll just put a blurb about it down below in my about section. I'll be like, go look at my about section. I explained it all there. I don't want to go over it again, which I should probably do. Well, oh, coffee. How you please me. Oh, so good. Even in the evenings. I have not had a problem with coffee keeping me really awake. When we stick to a brand that I like, that's kind of like mid caffeine levels, I think. I don't really tend to have a huge problem going to sleep. I don't drink it like immediately before I go to bed, but I'll stop usually around like 2 hours or so before I go to bed and I try to switch to something else. Um, it doesn't really keep me up. I think it makes me go from like exhausted to like mid. It drives me how crazy how judgy people get using AI. Yeah, we've talked about it before, but I know there's a reason for it, right? There's a very, very genuine reason for it. The problem is people are saying all or nothing, right? And like no, people don't know how to do things by degrees. They know 0 or 100%, right? They have no way of separating out where it can be good and where it can be bad. and can be misused. And it is being misused by a lot of people to make money from it in frankly inappropriate ways. But there's other people that are using it greatly, and they're just using it to add to what they already do. I know I don't like the fact that it's a complete like if your role in life was sitting there and just creating prompts for art and spitting out merch from that all day long, I mean, I don't know how to judge that. If I were the judge, jury, and executioner, where would I go for that? Like, is creating a prompt art when the machine is doing all of the work based off training from somebody else's art? I don't know. I don't feel super great about it, but I kind of have to take them on a case by case basis, right? There's areas where it's clearly being abused, but there's also a lot of areas where it's not. It's so useful in so many ways. Like for me personally, it like I'm not using it every day. I'm paying for it. I'm not using it every day. I really should be using it more often for stuff, but I have to figure out what those needs are before I go to it, right? Obviously, I try to self serve and figure out for myself what I'm going to do. And then when it comes to the tool, it's like, what do I need to use it for? I don't fully know. You know, I I feel like it's a great bridge for me, right? I have certain levels of knowledge I have. I see a certain level of future knowledge I might have or that I'd like to have, and I try to use it to help bridge that gap. How do I do fill in the blank thing? Can you make me something in the style of this as an image so I can use it as a reference to understand, that's a good idea. I should make it like that. Let me try that. And then I can do it, right? Like I'm not using it to fully replace anything for me, but that's me. Other people can totally do that. You can do that. That doesn't bother me. It's not my freaking business to be bothered by what somebody else does. It's just, see that unless they actually say, make it look like so and so created it, I honestly don't have a problem with it. Yes. I think if you just say, can you make me fill in the blank thing? Like, I'm not going to know that it looks like somebody else's art. A computer's making it for me. If it's trained on somebody else's art and that person comes forward and says, hey, here's the evidence showing that this is what I made, and it looks like your AI generated thing, copy that in some way, I'd be like, wow, that's total bullshit that happened. I'm so sorry. I'm ripping it down. If that's all it takes, that's all it takes. They're probably going to push harder than that because they're like, you made money somehow, which I'm not going to do again. I don't want to use AI for money, at least not in that way. Right. The only way I would really use it for that would be honestly like making like a scene for something that's just going to be in like the background in some way. Um, if it's not the focus of like the money making process, if something else is, and it's just there, that's probably a good use case, right? If it's like a background map in the corner of the room made by AI, but the rest of it was made by me. If it's an audio stream and I'm putting it on screen so you've got something to look at, but really you're there to listen to it. I mean, who cares, right? It's just some fakey imagery. So there's like not really, I don't think there's really a harm to using it in those ways. In my opinion, all it does is automate the process that we already do as humans. We're all influenced by our experiences, what we've seen, studied, looked at, etc. Exactly. I think it's great. It's a great, like, I understand that learning how to do the thing and then doing the thing is great for artists that started that way. But people that have no desire to do certain things fully can use it to get a similar result. I get they don't want that, I think mainly because it takes away from you having to go pay money to an artist to do the same thing. It's kind of taking away jobs in their view. And I see that for big corporations that are replacing people that are like big money making corporations. I see that being a problem for them. But me, Joe Blow, that doesn't really need anything massive. Like I'm not asking for AI to make an art piece for me that I'm going to hang on my wall. I'd ask it to make something that I can use for whatever the hell else I'm using it for. If I really wanted something special that was going to go on the wall that I'm not making myself, I would consider paying someone for it because I want to get their viewpoint on my wall, their imagination. Eh, I don't know. We start talking about that kind of stuff. It's some people just don't like, I don't know, talking about it because they're always going to have their opinion and everybody is going to think the other person's wrong. And I hate that kind of discourse. It just irritates me. All right. I've talked so much that I'm sure that my paint has already gotten dry. Let me spritz it one more time. All right. And let's figure out what we're going to do. Remove my coffees to the side. I think seriously, the hate over AI is purely because a portion of it, it did not make great news headlines when they found out that it was being trained on other people's work without their permission, right? It's not like it was using exclusively open source content or open license content. It was using people's like copyrighted works, and that is wrong. Flat out, end of discussion, wrong. Stealing someone's work to make your automated system better is wrong. There's ways for them to have trained it properly over time, but they were rushing it. You know, as they say in Jurassic Park, they were standing on the shoulders of geniuses. They didn't know what they were doing. They made their thing. It worked, and bam, they just patented it, put a license on it, and said, "Go out there, make me money." And that's not great. It was also a tool that was built to be completely open source and free. And boy, did Sam Altman turn around and market the shit out of it instead, didn't he? He knew what he had. It's just one of those things. It's just people don't like the scheming that made it happen. And people don't like that it feels like it's stealing their art. And I understand their opinion and I agree with them, but it is not a cause to blanket stamp out the whole thing. It has its purpose. It has its uses, and it should be used by people that need it. You know, at some point, it's not going to be these language models like they are now, where they're just spitting out what you ask it to do. They're going to be a little smarter than that. They'll be, what is it, AGI, artificial general intelligence, where it's actually like an artificial intelligence and not a language model. It'll actually be able to cogitate. It'll be able to think and give you intelligent responses versus calculated potential, like just reflux. I don't know. I have AI art hanging on my wall that I created and I love it. It really created exactly what I wanted it to make. So is it wrong then for me to go look at a copyrighted work by someone, learn from it, and then create something after I learn from it? See, that is a great point that I have seen viewpoints on. So yes, sometimes. It actually is, like, genuinely, yes, sometimes. So, if you look at someone else's work and your goal in life is to go and exactly replicate it, for personal uses, I think that's fine. For hanging on your wall, I think that's fine. If you then decide to sell that perfect replica or as perfect as you could do replica of that, maybe not quite so much. Learning someone's painting and using that style, using elements from it, using it to teach yourself how to do your own thing with it, I think that's 1,000,000% okay. It's the replication that's the problem, right? Like, if you are a really incredibly talented artist and you go and you replicate any well-known artist that has something hanging up in a museum and you like point for point replicate it almost as if a machine did it, it doesn't matter if a machine did it or you did it, you're ripping off someone else's work identically. But if you use their style, pointillism, or just whatever else you can think of, right? That is 1,000,000% okay because you're using someone's work as a tool for you to learn how to be able to make something else entirely because it's an art style, right? But I'm the brain, I'm the human in the middle of the canvas and the knowledge. So being a human, I get to digest that information and recreate it in the way that I want to and put something entirely new on paper. If AI is the thing in the middle, that's where people start getting really funky about it, right? They start saying, well, wait a minute, you trained this AI on all of that art like a human would, but you're letting your computer spit out something in seconds and can spit out tons of it in seconds because it's limitless on how fast and how much we can do. That's just going to keep scaling and getting faster and better and more capable. And you're just going to create a million, 100 million Rembrandts, whereas a human has to train and learn how to do that one over an incredibly large amount of time to work to create that same kind of masterpiece in the same kind of style. It's just, I think it's just a matter of how automated they make it. It feels wrong to some people. I don't know. It's hard. You know, exactly replicate it, yeah, but that's not what AI does. AI doesn't replicate, not exactly. Copyright law says it can be reproduced by another artist as long as there's a certain percentage changed, added to, etc., by that other artist, which is why an artist can use other artists' works, for example, in a collage. Hmm. It starts getting really difficult, doesn't it? I mean, it's sure as hell, if not passing the line, it is on the line way more than a human could even do. Like its ability to consistently put something out that's like right on that line is difficult. I think it depends on the person. And I think it's okay. Think of it this way. It may not be illegal, but the it feels immoral only in quantity, right? So if it can make these things, it's making it as fast as that machine can pump it out, as fast as somebody can make those things come out. So we're going to be flooded with nothing but that. Right now, people are using it to hell and back way more than it is going to be used in the future. It's like any fad, right? People are using it to death right now, and it's not even fully there yet, right? It's a good portion of the way there. But if you wanted it to truly replicate like a human would, it probably needs a little bit more work before it's really got that capability to create something proper. Like it's still hallucinating to hell, right? And it'll get better. I think people's big problem with it more than anything, and I think they're probably using the copyright as an excuse, saying that we didn't give you permission to train on fill in the blank thing, right? Um, some people have rules that say you can't reproduce my work, but some things have hit like open domain or whatever it's called, where it's free license at that point. That can be totally used. But I don't think it's necessarily even that. I think they're using that as an excuse. I think it's the quantity at which it can come out is faster than a human can do. So it just gets out there everywhere very quickly. I don't know. Like, have you seen, I don't know. I'm not going to go into it. I'm not, I absolutely love what it can do. And I personally don't care. It can do what it wants to do. If I'm going to head roll and like eye roll and groan when I see something that's AI that's silly that I'm not interested in, then I'll just not be interested in that one thing. Video has been stupid. The video stuff you see that comes out is just, it's the new, oh, I can't describe it, but like just a weird, uh, like old CGI. There we go. It's like the new CGI. Like when people could figure out that you can computer generate things on top of real world videos, they were able to do it in a way that was really weird and wacky and kind of looked cool. But the AI generated stuff is in that uncanny valley. So like you see, like I saw one the other day, right? It was a dog that was, I think originally had peed on the floor or something. And they took that video and replaced it with a bunch of marbles. So it's just marbles pouring out of this dog and hitting the floor and spreading out like a pool of water, but marbles. Why would you do that? Someone's interested in that enough to make it and then put it out there. And there's other people that are going to be interested in that. But it is, I think it's just my age, but it's like mind numbing how silly that is to me. Ads? Okay. What they are is trippy. So, woof. Hold those thoughts. Okay. I have to take this down, or I'm not going to even paint anything today. It's already 45 minutes in. What am I going to do? I think I'll start another tree. So, like a minute and a half of ads. Actually, kind of like the black tape. And, yep. About a minute left. Anyway. Bum, 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 bum. Steve's incredible. All time. All right. All right. It says that they're done, and I know it sometimes needs some 30 seconds or so more than that, but I'll go ahead. Yeah. So let's see. Where did I miss? Uh done. Okay. Uh Flooded with it will ultimately only make an artist's traditional work that much more valuable. Lol, OMG, I love the video stuff. I follow so many AI accounts on TikTok. Uh, Clearly not dogs peeing marbles, though. Yes, because that was gross. But really cool stuff, like really awesome fantasy things. Yes, see, these things have their place, but a lot of the stuff you're seeing come out that is, at least I'm seeing, unfortunately, is overwhelmingly slop. It's the stuff people are just vomiting out there. Wow, this is so loud. Turn it down. Um, it's I'm just waiting for the wave to crash and settle out. I love the tool. I love what it's capable of, and I love what it can do in capable hands. I think some of the stuff that people are making, they're literally just putting in a prompt for 2 seconds of some asinine crazy thing. It makes a thing and it makes them be like, oh my God, that's crazy. And they post it. No thought, no effort, no anything. So I think that's where the world is with it. It's so fresh and new and it's still a fad that that's a lot of what's out there. It's not all that's out there. There's people using it with great intent and great skill, and they keep tweaking until they find the results that they want. And those are the people that I think are using it greatly, right? They're using it the way it probably should be used. You know what I mean? I blame social media in general on that more so than AI. People post stupid shit for views. Oh, they absolutely do. And this just makes it easier for them to do that. People love doing what's called rage baiting, right? You've probably seen and heard of that by now. Rage baiting is just what it sounds like. They create a post that makes you just think, what? Why? What? Why are they doing this? And then they make you want to keep watching it to see what stupid shit they're going to do next and then post about how stupid they are for doing the thing. I think it really started with cooking videos where they did stupid stuff in cooking. It probably is even further back than that, but that's one of the big starter ones that they started doing where they make food stupidly. Like at first it was like some dude in a dorm cooking something stupid. And then it turned into people on their stovetops putting random bullshit in, cooking things in the stupid ways that like people that are untrained in cooking. And then it got even more wild and even more crazy. And then AI came out, and now they can do the same thing without having to go in the kitchen. I mean, it's the same mentality, I think. And those kind of videos, they just irritate me to no end. I don't want to see them. I don't want to be a part of them. I don't want to have them shared with me. I don't want to share them with others. They just make my brain hurt. I want to see the ones people thought about and cared about. And this is about as much as I'm going to say about AI. I've already talked about it for 40 minutes. It feels like. Right, because the algorithm doesn't care whether the comments are positive or you're stupid. It just rewards the poster for having the comments exactly. And I hate that about social media. It's all just machinery, and I just hate that. Anyway, enough. Let's do some fun stuff for once. I'm gonna get on here and talk about paint. Let's paint some shit. And we're just gonna make random things happen. So I went ahead and thought to get something done tonight, at least, I'm going to go ahead and work on doing another one like this. Maybe not with the words. I added that last minute, but let's try to do a similar quick kind of nebula. Last time I tried to replicate a real nebula. This one was, I forgot what I did. The Orion Nebula, I think. Ow, son of a gun. Let's look up another nebula. Nebula. I still need to do my plan I had, uh, gathering a bunch of nebula. I didn't spell that right. And doing real life versions of them. Not real life, but replicating them. Uh, uh, that one's interesting, but it'll end up looking like I'm not gonna do that one. I was looking at this one. The one that looks like an eyeball. Well, that's not the one I wanted. Stop that. Go back. That one. But doing that in the middle of a triangle is gonna make it look like a why am I forgetting what it's like? Not a cult, but you know what I mean? Like a secret society. There we go. It was gonna look like a secret society symbol, so I'm not gonna do that one. I have gone. Yes. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. But doing it in a triangle would be weird. Not bad, it's just weird. Ivorus, yes, which is Egyptian, right? I think. Right? Yeah. Ivorus with the little eyebrow off to the side of it. Yeah. I've seen that before on many things. Stargate, I think. Which is in the pyramid on US currency. Yes. Oh, don't get me started talking about US currency. It relates heavily to work, and I'm really irritated by it. The penny is going away, and it's causing me all kinds of hell. Ooh, that's pretty. Ooh, that's pretty too. Oh, I always liked the Horsehead Nebula. Is this actually it? Let's look up the Horsehead Nebula and then make sure. Get out of here. Horse Head Nebula. Yeah, I really like that one. Yeah, I think that might be from the original. Yeah, it looks like it. Just tweaked. Oh no, I like that one. Ba, ba, ba. The pics I sent are gorgeous. Oh, how about the Aurora? Ooh, I could do an Aurora. That might be a little easier. Uh, roar, yeah. Uh, choose what I paint
Aurora.
next. Aurora. Okay. I guess that confirms that's what I'm doing. Let let me find a good one. I'll look at the ones from work. I'll look at it in Discord. Um, rest augment complete. Restart Discord for some improvements. Gross. Okay. Uh, chat and goddess and yes. Uh, there's some really pretty ones in here. I love the colors in this one. That one's super pretty. Aurora, I pretty much have to. Oh, that one's pretty too. It's not quite as powerful. That one's pretty neat. Uh, I think for color, I may do like this one. I think I may do that one that I looked at. Let me zoom in on it a little bit and get some of the colors. It was taken from under someone's porch, so it's not perfect, but yeah, that one. I'll probably use that as a reference. So let me set that to the side. And then the hard part, let me grab something really quick that I can use. 1 second. Wait. This guy. It's a little phone stand that I've had for some time now. I'm just going to put it off screen, off to the side, so I can have my phone up and looking at this. Uh, so that I hopefully don't have much of my phone visible on screen, because I don't know if some random BS from work might come across, and I don't want to show work stuff on stream. Not like it's top secret or anything, but I mean, the less I share fully of work stuff, the better. Let's see, any other playlists that I can play? I do always love me some BNL. I could play that. Just very quietly in the background. You may not even hear it, but I just have it down on like literally volume level 1 for me right now, because I don't want to be blasted by that right now. All right. So what this tells me, I need a scratch piece of paper. Oh, I forgot I moved it. This one? Yeah. Wait. If I'm going to be doing an Aurora, I'm going to try to get the colors at least somewhat right. I mean, it's not going to be perfect, but I want to try to get it, somewhat. So I'm going to start with one scratch sheet of paper, and I will try to replicate some of these colors because there is a good bit of color in here. So I need a reddish color. You know what I think I can do too? Let me download it from Discord on my computer and share it on screen. And then you can follow along with me. Let me open. Did I close it? No, it's right there. Discord. That. Yes, okay, whatever. And then that. Bloop. And then I chose this one. And I want to download that. I don't want it there. I want it. Boop. Boop. Set to show on stream. Where's that one? This one. And that. All right. Close that. Close that. Go here. That one. Yep. And then over here. You don't get to see all the stuff I'm doing behind the scenes, but you get to hear it. All right. I need to go to see And then I need to go to this folder, in this folder, and then I need to do this folder, and then blur 'em, and then show on screen. There we go. I think I need to resize that. Let me uh, move it down and crop. And was there a reset crop button that used to be in this? I think there was. Is that the whole image? That might be the whole image. Oh, it is. That's why. No, there used to be a done button. Where's that? It used to be underneath it. What happened? There used to be a done button. Oh, we just click outside of it now? That's weird. Yeah, I can do the alt crop thing, but my problem was not that so much. My problem is I'm using Meld Studio, remember, as my tool to stream, not OBS, so some of the functions are a little different. How this allowed cropping is different from OBS. And they just updated their app, and they used to have a button that said done when you were done cropping, and they changed it. I guess they made it where now you just click outside the image and it'll stop the cropping process. Totally different. But it's there now, so it's up in the corner, so you can see it while I'm playing. In fact, I might move it over on this side so it's not covering up chat. And that way it should also hopefully not be in the way. And then you can see what colors I'm screwing around with over here. All right. So you've got a copy of that. I have a copy of it, assuming my phone stays awake and, it doesn't do stupid shit like it just did. Zoom, enhance, zoom, zoom. There we go. All right. We have all kinds of colors in this. We have ourselves a kind of like a flamingo pink kind of color in the middle. And we have kind of purplish kind of magenta almost kind of color above it. I have like a yellowish with green. So I'm probably going to do like a very faint yellow and then do the green, the very faint green over the top of it on the bottom. And then we've got more purple than magenta on that side over there. A little bit of green, a little bit of green, and then a kind of purpley, inky indigo, faintly indigo color up there. So let's play with our colors. So we need ourselves a flamingo, kind of flamingo pink color. So let's look at what that might look like. Because boy, I don't know. We're gonna just play. So since it pushes more in the kind of orange kind of direction, I'm not gonna use this red. I should probably pull this out so you can see it. Sorry, I smacked the mic. Um, I think, God, it almost kind of does look like that, but I don't want to use this one because this one's more on like the magenta color, even has it in the name. It starts pushing kind of towards blue, right? This one pushes more toward like an orange color. This one's more like a neutral kind of red. So if I wanted it to be kind of flamingo-y, I think it needs like a peachy, like a very slight hit of orange in it. Why does this keep popping up as saying save? I don't want to save the image. I just want to look at the damn thing. Discord is stupid and just gets worse sometimes. Ugh. Anyway, let's just experiment with different colors. You put this in front of me and move my heat gun so I don't accidentally turn it on and cause, a nightmare. All right. So flamingo pink, we've got a couple of red options. So why don't I just try a little bit of each? So I tried this one. Uh, uh, okay. There's a better way to do this. A layer. See, this is where having one of those big color charts would be handy. I've got, oh, son of a bitch, I just smacked my elbow. Um, Pardon my French. Where did I put that? Is it this one? It is this one. Yeah. I've got this chart. I wonder if there's one on here and then I'll already have done the work. It's a much better idea. I did it really heavy and I did it really light. So out of these options, is there anything that's kind of flamingo pinkish? I don't quite think so. But there might be something that kind of pushes me in that direction to make me be able to recreate it. That one actually looks good there, but it doesn't look good there. It looks more brown. So I probably should look at the richer color and then tone it down some. I think from what I did here, I don't know if there's quite close to a flamingo pink. Yeah, I still may have to make it myself. Yeah, I don't think there's quite one on here. It's a unique color, isn't it? Flamingo pink. You put this next to this one. That'll work. I'll scoot this one over a little bit. Um, yeah, I guess I'm just gonna have to play. All right. Well, let's try a couple options. So I'm gonna do this one. Let me do this red, a little thinner. And let's do the primary red magenta as well. And do that next to it. And then the permanent red light next to that. Do just a little bit. Now, when they're faint, they're pretty close to each other. I almost feel like that one didn't work. Is my brush dirty? Or is it because of where I put it? Well, yeah, that didn't quite work. I think I might have had too much of this quinacridone red. I'm also putting it on a dirty palette. I didn't really scrub it clean before I made these mixes, so they didn't mix. It's on me. Ooh. And now I'm just screwing around. Nope, that's more orange. That's actually muddy orange. Is that pretty at all? Okay, well. Red options. And I mean, honestly, I'll even do some orange. Left lower till I couldn't see the ground. Till I couldn't see the ground. Let me search. Help me, I couldn't see the ground. Okay, let's try that. Weirdly, the one I said probably wouldn't work is the one that looks the most like it. It just needs a little tweaking. That primary red magenta there feels a little closer to it, but I need to push it a kind of yellowish direction. So different. Like, that's a very unique color. I have to figure out how I'm gonna figure that out. Um, Let me clean off the corner of this muddy orange section of the palette. So I've at least got some workspace to play with this. All right. So let's say I want a little bit of that primary red magenta. I found the flaws in my perfect plan up there, having these in front of me, the windows open, and the tiniest little breeze is hitting it, and they're just a sail and it just wants to fly. Uh, But nope, that's gonna hit the top of it. It's not gonna work. Ah, I can't keep him there. All right. Well, thank you for your service. You get to go back. Ah. Oh, closing the window also works. Man, the half came by and just close the fucking window. I love you, but you're a dumbass. No, he would never say any of that. I would to myself in my head about myself. All right. So again, this is just primary red magenta. So it's pretty darn close, but it needs like a hit of an orange or a yellow, maybe. And I'm talking barely, barely any. But I don't want to push it. I don't want to push it into orange territory. It's still pink. So like I need some, but I need like none of it. I tried the tiniest amount. Maybe. Okay, let's clean another section off. Like I'm truly experimenting with color mixing instead of painting what I intended, but that's fine because I'm learning and I need this learning. Okay, get out of here. Stop that. Stop doing that. Stop doing this thing that you're doing. Why are you? Stop. Go back over here. I wanted a puddle of it there. I'll make more. All right. So let's get a little bit more. And let's try this tiniest bit of some yellow. That's probably too much. We're going to go for it. There's that weird random static sound. Is it just in my ear? What is that? I don't know if that comes across in the stream or not if you were listening, but in my ear, I periodically when I stream will hear this. There it is again. Do you hear that static? Oh, it's doing it bad right now. I've never had it that bad. What is that? Let me get this on paper really quick. If that might be the color I go with. Oh yeah, I think that's kind of it. Yeah, weirdly, I think that's kind of it. I mean, it has to dry, and I might need a touch more yellow, but I don't think I'm going to add it. I think I'm going to have the yellow underneath it, and then when it hits that, I think it might merge a little bit with that one right there. Well, I missed that altogether. That right there looks pretty good. Let me unplug my headphones and plug them back in. Okay. Hopefully that's all it was just being stupid there. We'll see. All right. So I've got a potential candidate for some flamingo pink. So let's look at some of our other colors. Green, I think, is going to be important. Magenta and a purple color, I think, are going to be easy because they're closer to pure color I've already got. Green. So whatever our greens look like. So this is cupric green light by itself, really faint. I'll put a touch more on there. Cupric green light. This is cupric green deep right next to it. And then this is green gold, which has a really pretty yellow neon look when it's thin. Now, let's do a tiny bit of green gold and a tiny bit of the cubic green deep. This is a blend of the two of those. More green gold over there. And this is cubic green light mixed in with it. And that will put right there. Next up, let's do the same thing. I'll put it down here. Same thing as above. That's a little bit too thick. Okay. And this time, let's do a mixture of the cubic green light and yellow vanadium. This really bright yellow. It just means you say underwear. We could be, but I'll just stay. All the stuff's here anyway. Okay. And let's do some green gold. And this is that yellow added to the green gold. Just making it a little bit more on the yellow side than the green side. Okay. And then let's hit a little bit of the cubic green light. I'm running out of room. Okay. And let's pick on my ultramarine deep, which is the one here. Okay, yeah, that just makes it dark. I don't know if I could do that in a combination of yellow with it. Does that change it? I mean, it will, but in what way? That's actually not bad, that one. I mean, that is a mixture of a few things. Three, actually. I think it's the first time I've done a proper three color mix. Let me do a bigger version of that. Let me mix some of this off and shove it off to the side here. Let's just look at what that weird mixture ended up making for fun. Made a green. Just a green. All right. Let me offload some of that. I know I could use a paper towel for this, but I'm too lazy. I'm barely cleaning it. Okay, that's not fun. All right. Let's do that mixture, but more of it. So we did cupric green light. I'm going to really get a sick amount of that on here. Okay. All right. Got some of the yellow. Add that to our green. That's one option. What I did that I liked, assuming I'm recreating it properly, this one up here, is adding some of my ultramarine deep, which is this guy. This time it looks like it turned it kind of a darker color. Did that make the same mix? No, it did not. I made more of an olive kind of color. Is it because I have more blue than I should? I think so. Well, do I do the thing where you add more of the opposing colors that you missed, that you meant to have in there to try to bring it back? I need more green and then more yellow, or is that just going to darken it like hell? So just experiment. Since I'm going to a light color, I really have to make sure my brush is clean. I'm going to start bringing it back. I still think it's too dark, though. I think the blue was just too much for it. Color mixing with intent is hard when you don't know what you're doing. Here's the question. What does it look like thinner? Oh, yeah, see, that's where I think I was going wrong. I think I was too thick with it, too. I think I wanted it to be thin. All right. I think we'll go with that. So we've got our flamingo pink kind of color. We've got our greenish color. I think we'll just go with yellow, faint amount of it. We've got some violet. I need to clean a space for some because this is a hot mess in the corner over here. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure it's a gorgeous color. Yeah, it's kind of thin, but yeah, still a pretty color. It's okay. We can make it again someday. If Artful Turkey was here, he'd be like, boy, that palette is so clean. I'm like, boy, look at this shit. It's not clean. I wish it was clean. All right. Let's get some anacridone violet reddish. I do want a good, like, royal purple color. No, there's that buzzing again. That's just weird. I don't know what that is. Anyway, we've got ourselves, well, I think I already, I might phone went to sleep. Let me wake it back up again. Okay, so the faintest purple, yeah. So a nice faint, just pure purplish color is good. I think I might also have, I think I've already got some down here. Yeah, that's some of that mixed in with the blue. So it made it like an actual proper violet tone. That's too strong, obviously. Okay. And magenta, I think we've already got basically a red magenta color, but I think I can probably make the tiniest amount of it just by putting some like over here where there's already some violet spilled over. And just honestly, that alone is probably enough to push it in that direction. Yeah. Like our upper I'm not thinking right. Our upper part over on the left of this. So I think we have enough colors to get a replica. I realize I'm pushing hard to try to get all these colors right because Aurora are always so difficult for me. So I'm going to go ahead and just freaking go for it. So let me wet down the surface with some clear water. On prep work for this one for something I hope that comes out. All right, so that is evenly coated with water. All right, so let me start with hello, 5 minute challenge. Oh, don't know. I want this one to come out right. I want this one to come out right. Let's see. I'm actually going to steal some of this and just get a little bit going. I have to pick a well that doesn't have much in it. All right. We can do some 5 minute challenges at some point. I don't mind that. Let me get even thinner with that. So I'm going to get some yellow in the bottom area. And I'm going to go part way up into where the flamingo pink color is. And on the left, I don't want the yellow to take over because I know how I am. I'll just use way too much of it. But I'll do like a little streak of it in the middle where it's going to end up kind of sticking around. I love the emotes. All right. So I'm going to stop the yellow there. So next up, we need our green in the bottom. No, I might do the green last because it's in a lot of areas. No, because I can encroach around it. So yeah, let's hit the green a little bit. It's too strong. It might be too light, but let's see how it goes. We can creep up on it. And then along the bottom part, feel the loving exude. You to play the key of the loves more than blue. Right? To grab some of our flamingo color. It's a little strong. Pick you up. Start with it light. And start to creep up over there and there. So have a little more of it. We hit it because it definitely needs some color. I didn't realize that was super faint. And to be there to tunes catch for a year and year following. Okay. And let's get some of our violet, which is too strong the way it is. You get a little bit of it over on the side. Okay. Yeah, a tiny bit of our magenta kind of color, which is again too strong by itself. Okay. And get some of that up in here. It kind of goes way up to the top. Okay. And then see a little more of the green. And it's again too strong by itself. Okay. And let's get a hit of it in here and a little bit of it poking out on the side and some in from the side over here. And then let's grab our blue that we're going to use, which I did not think about. So let me go for some of the Prussian blue. Let's see what that looks like. Yep, Prussian blue is pretty on its own. Let's do the tiniest amount of Prussian blue. Well, it kind of does our arms. Let's get around there. Let's fill in the top corner with some. You can go a tiny bit darker with it if I can. Up to the top here. Just a couple dots in the bottom. Because it really does get faint near the bottom of the screen. All right. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to dry it off. I have a bad habit of going over the top of wet paint with wet paint. Let's dry it. Let's get back to that. All right. So it's there. It's got some of the base colors, but it's just a tiny bit faint. The colors are there. I don't want to overdo it, but I am going to do another pass on this with some of the same colors. So let's try to do another quick, but gentle pass over the top of this. But instead of doing on wet, we're going to do it on dry. So I'm going to try to be like dry brushing this thing. Like I don't want to add a lot. I just want to add like the hint. Because this is supposed to be smooth, right? See, I think I'm going to mess that up if I do that. I think it might have to be on wet again. But I don't want it to all mix together and overdo it. I mean, so while I'm waiting for this and I'm thinking, let me look at something. So if I grab, like, there's this touch of yellow right there. If I grab that and I go over some of my pinky colors, does it shift it in a more, no, that's just washed that right up off the page. Uh, Um, yep, that red must have come up as soon as you re-wet it. Like it comes up like as soon as you get any water on it. It's like if I scrub on this right here. Oh yeah, look at that. It immediately sends that red as it when it's dry. It doesn't resist water at all. Am I trying to make this into a tree like your sample? Yes, I am. My goal is to use so some of my coworkers the other night when the aurora had been really strong recently in I think this was Indiana or Idaho, I can't remember which. Could have been Flagstaff. They were all over the country. Um, but a bunch of coworkers took pictures of all of the aurora and posted it in the team chat. And this is one of them. So I'm using it as like a color, like a reference to recreate kind of the idea of those aurora colors in a tree form. Like this one I did a nebula on Monday and turned it into a Christmas tree. And my goal is to do a similar thing here, but I have only tried aurora one time before and it was very difficult for me. It didn't quite work out. I couldn't get the colors really well, and I think I was overthinking it. So I'm trying it again here, but it could be that I'm just not quite using my colors correctly to get all the colors in here that I want. If I try to go back over this again, I may end up wiping away what's already there. I am curious how I might be able to enhance it, if anything. I might not. I could just spray it with my water bottle to get water on it. What watercolor brand am I using? You're not gonna like it. You probably don't know it. A good majority of it is a brand called My Mary Blue, MB, My Mary Blue. Uh, Example tube is like this right here. Very nice brand. Been very happy with it. I don't think the brand is quite my problem. I think I mean, half of it is me, but the rest of it I think might be as well. A lot of the colors I got, not all of them, but a lot of them I got from pre-made kits from different artists who were worked with Memoria Blue to make like 5 or 6 color kits, right? And so they pick a a blend basically, like the pure color, but it's never fully quite pure. It's always fitting whatever theme that person is. If that person does desert landscapes, some of them might be a collection from desert landscapes. Some might be from floral artists, a couple of them. So I don't have a tremendous quantity of pure colors that I mix with to get me some like vibrant, like neon kind of colors like Aurora are. I ask because I'm trying to figure out what red you're working with. Well, here they are. Um, the top left are these 3 reds that I'm using. They call them quinacridone red, primary red magenta, and permanent red light. When I originally did this, I did these slightly out of order, but that's fine. Honey based? No, they are not. Only one I have here has a honey binder. It is this one, La Creole. I got that one from Blick. It was a sample, like an experiment to try to get a different color of yellow. And you can tell it's got that kind of honey binder, kind of thick, sappy kind of look to it, where it's thicker. All the rest of them, I'm not sure what binder it is, whatever standard binding. Or if it says, I doubt it. And if it does, it's probably in Italian or French or whatever it is. Yeah, I don't think it says Italy. There we go. So it's made in Italy. Yeah. Is the magenta that you used? Yes, I used that primary red magenta, this guy. And I did a combination. I did for the violet-ish kind of color on the top, the more magenta. I did a little bit of the primary red magenta with some of this violet to push it more kind of bluish. In the middle, I was trying to get a good coral or like flamingo pink color to match the sample image, the bottom part of it, right on this parallel. It's got kind of a coral pink color. So I tried shifting it with a little yellow, and that seemed to do it. So really just experimenting. Again, this is me we're talking about here. I'm not going for perfection. I may even, in fact, leave this one exactly like this and not fuck with it anymore, as I am prone to do. I can practice Aurora on other things. That does look lifted easily. Quinn Red will stain and not lift as much. That would make sense. I have that right here. This is the quinacridone red. This is the primary red magenta that lifted like immediately. And this is permanent red light, which also seems to want to come up. So let's hit that with water just for fun. And it still comes up. I imagine almost everything does. It doesn't matter how vigorous you are with it, right? I think it's fine. I think I'm going to stop. If I do anything at all, I think I might do the tiniest amount of the green in just a couple tiny spots just to make it look more green. And not even a lot, just like barely hit the damn thing. Yep. And there's barely any of the yellow shining through on the image, on the original. I just don't want to touch the pinky area right there. It can tell me to make it worse. Mine by Daniel Smith is very staining. Yeah, mine's just being a bit of a jerk about it. That's something I wanted to do that I've seen. The lifting tests on this would be actually really interesting. Another the one I already did, but I would be willing to make a much smaller version of this and then try to do like lift it with clear water to see how many of them do come up. I've actually never tried that before. It'd be a really good experiment just to see, how good or bad it is at that. It'd be very interesting to tell that. I do think I made a smaller version of this. Oh yeah. Yeah, right here. So I could do it with that. Total sidetrack. I honestly don't know how you properly test that. You could tape down that one and try to lift this in line. Oh, so do like a multiple, but vertical line and leave a gap in the middle to mask it off. Is that what you mean? And then just run water along the middle section of it. How do you properly lift? You know far more than I do in this. So what would you do in this scenario? So you would say tape it down, do a vertical line of tape here, and then right next to it, and leave a thin gap. And then would you run water across each color individually, rinse, go back with clean water? Or would you go down the whole thing with like a wash brush or something and just get it wet and then go over it with a paper towel to try to pull up something? What would make the most sense? Just a gentle scrubbing and then clean and go back and gentle scrub the next one? Mm. Yeah, we can totally try that. And I'm happy to do that right now, or here in a brief moment, because it really is a smart thing to try. Damn, that suddenly was loud and then not. Nothing. Nothing audio wants to work. Okay. So let me hit this one more time with the higher gun. And I think I will come back to this one here in a minute and add some accoutrement to it. Maybe metallic, maybe something simpler. I don't know. I realize on white, what I've done is going to be bright enough. I don't want to mess with that. There we are. Yeah, I think that's plenty pretty as it is for an Aurora type of color scheme. It's not as vibrant, clearly, as that is. I'll have to experiment, but yeah. Run 2 tape down, then use a brush or lightly wet sponge one at a time. Yep. Okay. Got it. So, uh, for this guy, I intentionally made it a little bigger than the other one. So when I go back to this, it will take up a little bit more of the page. I realized I left a lot of airspace around here, so I want to take up more space for the greeting card idea. All right, let me scoot this over here. Boom. Let me grab this. Uh, I will say a happy accident that happened in the middle here I was seeing is this came out really pretty, right? It came out super cute. I love that the magenta, or I think that was some of the violet, and then some of the green and the Prussian blue from below leaked up into it and made that really pretty combination right there. All right, over there you go. Yeah, I think that one's going to come out really nice. This guy, I had to figure out what I'm going to do around it. This one was easy because I did space and I went Star Trek with it. This one is Aurora, so I can still put a couple, not many, very faint white stars in it because it is like the night sky. But then what do I put around it? We'll come back to that. All right. I knew I was understood. It will be great. Just wait. Or is it too little too late? Blues like the ultramarine granulate and push the red pigment to make that bloom. That makes a lot of sense. Since the red comes up so well, I'm not incredibly surprised that was nowhere near aligned. Let me try that again. No. To another remember, and you would never realize you to other, but it took me you to believe it was over. To fall to there was no loss. Or whatever. We're going Rosette. Right? Every time's up and now with taste of your blood. Take the child but all right. Anyway, we never live and knew each other really well. It's another take that pink. My opera pink, that's a great name. My opera pink lifts super easy, but it's fugitive? Is that right? Fugitive? That seems like a weird word for that. Is that autocorrect? Or am I just stupid? This one's too long. There we go. And we changed it. I'm always happy to stop for experiments. And that's the only way I'm going to learn. And I'm not going to remember to do it later if I don't stop and try. Let go of my finger. There we go. I think the only thing. No, I think it's no, it's not. The only thing that's not on this list is my Payne's Gray. I suppose. Right? 1, 2, 3, yes, 4, 1, 4, 4. Yep. Yes. Payne's Gray is not on here. Let's add that. Should be down there, but I'm looking for it, so I'm just gonna shove it right here. Like a creep on bear, like a trip on my come my hair, and the go has shown I can wear it off the trash. Do it much. Worse. Come on. So funny. The stupid mistake that I made. Too wet. And really? Okay, let me finish this. That is fascinating. So paint companies' colors that are not light fast tested are called fugitive. And Daniel Smith is who has the proper pink name. Got it. Yeah, I'll also look that up and see what that looks like. I think I'm done with my reference, so I can put this up now. Bro, pink. Oh, bro, pink. Bro. That is not how you spell opera. Opera pink. Watercolor. Oh yeah, that is a pretty spot on, really beautiful pink color. Pull that up. Yeah, that's pretty. That's a pretty pink. That's so vibrant. See, that's what I want. I want to get some vibrant colors. Because all of these, don't get me wrong, they're beautiful and there is a lot of vibrancy in here, but I'd love to get some color that pop and are really brightly vibrant and sometimes neon, sometimes slightly kind of neon in color. So I've got some really bright options because I like doing nebula and space scenes. And I find that when I mix color a lot of times, I lose all of that initial bright color almost immediately. And so when I start mixing colors, I lose all that vibrancy immediately and it's just gone and everything just turns not muddy, it turns beautiful, but it loses that like really bright, vibrant color. I'd love to try to mix some of the brightest colors together to see what they make. Yeah, I'll play with that. That's a test for the future. when someone has money to blow watercolor supplies. Ironically, I have already told my other half this, but my plan, uh, I do have a plan to change watercolors in the future, and I wanted to go to Daniel Smith. Everyone raves about them. Uh, and everything I see made with them is gorgeous. Again, I know it's not the paint so much; it's the painter. I can't say anything about that for myself. I'm not going to try. But what I will say is what I have seen made with it for the type of things I like to do, like it just makes sense as a future candidate for the next kind of paint I want to try. What I'm using now has been beautiful and is still beautiful, and I still really much like it. I don't hate it. I don't dislike it. I'm not moving on to greener pastures. I hope. I hope I'm just choosing a new one because I want to choose a new one that works well for people. But also, I'm not going to ever be able to experience them if I don't experience them, right? So my goal, maybe in a year, somewhere in the next year or so, I want to work down this palette until it's pretty much used. And I want to get a ceramic palette. I've been wanting something that I can leave on top here or put in my drawer and put like a lid over and put up. This one's great for like leaving the house with it if I need to, so I can fold it up. And it's good for being compact, but I want something that doesn't move around quite so much. And I don't need the paint wells to be bigger. I want the mixing wells to be bigger. So I wanted to try to find something that gives me far more like mixing well options, uh, and just smaller paint uh, receptacles, I guess you can call them. Um, so I was looking at some ceramic ones that were not going to break the bank, that were pretty cheap, like $140, that are hopefully the right kind of size. I was out measuring like what it said it was and how big it's going to be. It's going to be roughly the same size as this palette, but slightly lighter and slightly shorter. So I'll have to figure out how to fit it. Uh, Commercial restaurant supply place and get cheap white plates. Well, it's funny you should say that, my good friend, because I already have a lot of options. So these clearly I got on Amazon for paint because they're segmented, right? You see these everywhere. The rest of this stuff I got from work. I won't go through detail, but suffice to say, I work somewhere that sells this stuff. That's all you need to know. And this is like the free crap they're giving away that they don't use. So I've got some options I don't have to go spend money on, but the a full plate, like a full segmented kind of palette makes my brain happier. I know it sounds silly, and I mean, I guess it doesn't. There's different strokes for different folks, but for me, I like things to be a tiny bit organized. Um, and if I did a big rectangular plate or something with no segments, nothing to stop everything from going into other places, and I just put like a dot of my paint on there and let it dry, and then tried to use that, all of them mixing together and like having to scrub to get down to the pure color will drive my brain insane. I don't think I'd be able to do it. Uh, but as long as it's got like separate components to it, that'll break them apart a little bit at least. Even if it's like a wave with a crest and then it goes back down again in the ceramic, that's fine. Or hard edges like this, whatever. I just don't want it to be a flat surface. You know what I mean? You got a big egg holder, but you like it flatter. You do like a square or rectangular platter. Yeah, see, so the egg holder I get like for wow, my brain went stupid. Uh don't tell me. It's The ones you take the yolk out, you make the mixture of the mayonnaise and all the stuff you put back in again and put paprika on it. My brain's going stupid on the name of that for some reason. Deviled eggs. There we go. Wow, I just lightning bolt. Yeah, like a deviled egg platter, right? I guess. I've seen those where like the whole thing is just a bunch of like deviled egg, like half deviled eggs. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I see that working incredibly well because you can use like the upper corner of one side of it to put the pure paint in, and then you can kind of have a mixing well on the whole remaining part of that like domed surface on the inside. Reverse dome, concave, yeah, whatever we'll call it. So kind of every one can be like a pure receptacle to get your paint from a higher part of it where you're not going to get it too dirty. And the bottom part of every one of them could be effectively a mixing well, drawing from that color and then stuff around it. I see that working really well. That's an interesting idea. I'll think about it. I'll look for it. That is actually a really cool idea. A way to have both a clean palette and a dirty palette in one, right? I like that. Let's play with this. In fact, let me go clean my water, at least one of them. These are also getting kind of dirty. Give me one second. I mean, I'm back. Okay. All right. Let's first, because I've been yammering, I'm going to have some coffee really quick. Some 6 p.m. coffee. All right. Got this is some clean water. Let's go ahead and just, oh, sorry, I keep smacking the mic arm. Let me go ahead and hide the Aurora image. If it wants to play nice, there we go. And then I'll zoom in a little bit. There we go. And bring that down a little. All right. So we're just going to do a gentle scrub, clean and then scrub. I'm going to turn my paper towel over to get a clean, dry spot to wipe this off on. All right. I already done that one, so we're going to do the one below it. Tennis waves deep in the cleansed. Oh my goodness. Neat. Mm. So when you do this, do you normally try to scrub for the same amount of time, same amount of passes, the same amount of pressure to try to get an even quantity of time and impact on the paint? Or do you scrub until you have a more transparent line? Because that seems like silly. The point is to see how well it sticks to the paper without needing to scrub it to death until the paper is coming apart. So I imagine you just do like scrub, 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 stop, dab, clean water, go on to the next. That's what I'm imagining. So Let's do that. This is the one with that honey binder. Yes, okay. Yeah, I figured. Thank you. Logic wins the day a little bit. So scrub, 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 scrub. Dad. Scrub, 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 scrub. Dad. Being consistent from the start would have been smart. So maybe I'll do the sides of these when I'm done. Scrub, 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 scrub. Yeah. What paper do you use? This one is actually, yeah, this one is Arches. I have been getting better about trying to use one consistent paper brand, but that's not a requirement. I just have it because I found that I can get it on subscription every 3 months, A3 sized, uh, so that as I deplete scratch paper or large project paper, I get more in, so I'm not hurting to go get it when I'm out. In between that, I use a Strathmore 400 series, cold press for all of those. Here's the 9x12. And this is the small version, but I've got a couple different sizes of this Strathmore 400 series. This is the smallest I've got. Then I have 9x12, 11x14, and then something ungodly, I think 15x20 as well. So this is my like primary screwing around paper, but I'm trying to get better about learning to screw around on good paper so I can see how it acts. Yeah. And believe it or not, it does better than the Strathmore paper does. At least for holding onto water longer. The Strathmore paper, even the better quality stuff, that dries out quicker. So weird. Yeah. Scrub, 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 scrub. Dab. Scrub, 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 scrub. Dab. Arches is top of the line. Yeah, I've been very happy with it. I know it's expensive, but it's literally the difference between spending 80% on paper or 100% on paper. Like you're already spending a pretty decent amount of money on it. So you may as well spend a tiny bit more so that the whole bulk pad that you get is of better quality. But clearly I know it is not a requirement. A lot of people can't afford that, and I do not blame them. And I am not so far off from being in that. I say I'm not able to afford it. I am, but I rarely in the past spent additional funds on myself, aside from like, oh, a special food, a special whatever. I never really spent money on hobbies, but that changed with watercoloring a year and change ago. I'm not spending thousands of dollars on it, by any means, but I try to spend just enough to get started. And then as I progress, I try to get different varying qualities of things so I can see what they're like. Um, so that I can, as I'm learning how to get a little bit better at a time, I'm also learning what the different qualities of materials are. See that, that a lot came off of that, but that was indigo. Ah, the bottom right one is carbon black. Um, haven't tried it, but I hear magic erasers help lift color if you make a mistake. Really? I got my artist pad from Michael's with a 40% coupon, making it about 14 at the time. I'm amazed they allowed you to do that because every time we've gone to Michael's and seen any kind of deal, like they sometimes do the buy two, get one on all of their paper pads. and every single time Arches is excluded. So I'm guessing it was an individual, separate, works off anything in the store kind of coupon, which I imagine probably is far more acceptable to them. Scrub, 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 scrub. Dab. Um, the other brand I've heard, well, I've heard there's a ton of them. The other brand I've heard of that is of a higher quality, which seems to be even more expensive than Arches, is St. Cuthbert's Mill. Is that it? St. Cuthbert's Mill? St. Cuthbert something? That one? Um, Also seems to be a very expensive brand. I don't know how excited I am, scrub, 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 about going and spending more money on a whole new brand of paper just yet. That can happen someday, but I don't know if I'm ready for it right now. But if there's like a small pad of it I can get somewhere to try, I will. I think it's St. Cuthbert's Mill. Let's take a look. Scrub, 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 scrub. Boop. Yeah, the last one. The one I just put on there. Scrub, 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 scrub. That came up right away. Could be that it's fresh. Could be just that it comes up. All right, that's all of it. Let me dry it really quick, and then I think I didn't scrub, 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 scrub. No, that orange really holds in there. Okay, that's good to know. Okay, let's dry this puppy. Peel the paint. It's already 2 hours and change. I'm probably gonna finish here in a bit. And that's okay. uh, whoa. Belong student is a good one to mess around with or use for nice things. Really? I've never heard of that one. Let's look. So first, let me make sure I got the brand right on the other one. Saint Cuthbert Mill. Markup paper. That is, yes, Amazon. Yes, Black Friday week. Blah blah. Who cares? Blah. Wow, I looked it up and it totally looked up another brand. Oh, maybe it's this one, Saunders Waterford. Wow, I got that brand way wrong. This is the one I'm thinking of. Oh no, because it says St. Cuthbert's Mill underneath it. So I guess St. Cuthbert's Mill is the brand. Does it call it Saunders Waterford paper? Like, I don't even want to look at this one. Let's look at 9 by 12. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, it's more expensive than Arches. Arches is normally like 25 to 26 or $27 for a 9 by 12 pad of, I think, 10 sheets. Oh, is it? Oh, this might actually be better. Hang on. Oh, no, I think it might be equivalent. The Arches 9 by 12 is around like 26 bucks, I think. This one is 12 sheets. The St. Cuthbert's Mill Saunders Waterford 9 by 12 cold pressed, yes, cold pressed paper is 20 sheets, but it's for $32.50. So I guess you have to do the math on what it tells you what the per paper per sheet pricing is on that, but that sucker is expensive as well. But it might be a better deal if you get more quantity for your money. Interesting. People swear by this one too. I'm sure people have their favorites, right? And that's fine. Sometimes they're genuine. Sometimes it's just, splitting hairs at a certain point, Wow. I don't think that's stuff in there. All right. Arches is still better than theirs. You think so? Have you tried it? I've been very happy with Arches. Like seriously, I have not had a problem with it yet. Um, but to be perfectly fair and frank, I am not, not an expert by any means. So everybody else's mileage may vary and be amazing, and they may be able to tell far more than I can. But from my limited experience, every time I go between like Strathmore and Arches to do the same task, like doing a nebula painting, for example, I notice a difference. It's really crazy, but like my biggest problem is water absorption, right? Like seriously, water absorption has been my biggest pain when it comes to that sort of thing because when I'm doing a lot of my nebulas, I I need the paper to stay wet for a certain amount of time so that I can get all that initial layer done. And sometimes with Strathmore papers, I'll find that by the time I've come back to an upper part of the page, it's already gone dry, you know, and I can't easily re-wet it until the whole thing is dry. And even then, half the stuff bleeds. So I have to be really, really precarious. Real precious? No, that's not really the right word. It's the opposite of that. Fast. Fast. I have to be fast if I'm using Strathmore paper. So I have to wet it down just to before sopping wet and use it quickly to get my first layer down. This is how that came out. Let me zoom out and then I'll lift it up. He said, yes, I have all the didn't artist papers. All the didn't. Don't know. Right. Different, I'm guessing. We'll see. That's how that came out. Is that good? It looks the same to me across all of them. There was very few of them that it didn't pull off the paper the same way. So I guess the goal is really to see what does it look like underneath when it's been pulled away. How white does it leave the paper, I guess? What stain it leaves behind, I guess, right? And they're all fairly similar intensity. The greens kind of stick behind, the blues stick behind. Easy to lift paints for sure, yeah. And you know, I noticed it doesn't not often anyway, granulate. Indigo seems to. And everybody complains when they see it. I don't want to say complain, but everybody comments that my indigo, which is that second from the right one there, is not indigo. Apparently, indigo is a completely different shade in almost every other kind of paint you can find, which is fine. The indigo I'm using is Winsor Newton, which might be why, I don't know. It's no, that's the black one. This one? Yeah. This is Winsor Newton indigo. And a lot of people are just unhappy with it when they see it sometimes, or they think it should be a completely different shade, which, you know, is fine. I don't, I'm interested to see what indigo is in different brands, but that is what comes out when I use it. And forgive the white spots. I'm working on figuring out a plan for that. That is my my pain point when I'm making stars. It goes everywhere, even when I try to not let it go everywhere. So my goal is to come up with some sort of backdrop that I can temporarily put in place to shroud the back and sides of this area and leave open above so you can see and toward me so I can see. So I was going to look at getting like children's like project board where it does that kind of like it's got a back piece and then has like that accordion fold split in the middle. But I realized that those are huge and I'd probably end up just destroying it not too long in. So we're probably gonna end up trying to just use cardboard box, which I didn't think of. And we get plenty of them from Amazon, so I can probably just cut up a cardboard box and do the same kind of thing and just make my own. So I'll probably work on that over the weekend. You have, oh my gosh, some of these brands I'm not going to be able to read. I have, what is the first one? How do you pronounce that? Haranul? Haranul? What is that? Is that German? What? I don't even know what language that is. Hanemule. Hanemule. Is that how you pronounce it? Hanemule? And then Fabriano, that's easy. That sounds Italian. Windsor Newton Fluid, an easy name, but I don't think I've ever heard of it. Arches, Strathmore. Oh, those are paper. Paul Rubens paper. Is fluid a paper? I've gotten Windsor Newton paper. Wait, are these all paper? Now that I look at it, Arches I know is. So these are all paper types, right? I don't know that I've heard of Fabriano. I'm close enough. Yeah. All papers. Yeah. Okay. There we go. I had one Windsor Newton pad. Ironically, I think that's the one I sent to Goddess, if I remember right. I could be wrong. I think it is. I think that's the new pad that I got for her. Yeah. Um, Interesting. I love all of those ones that you've tested. Like if you could rank them in order, like the top three arches, I'm guessing would be at the top. And then what? I heard of Paul Rubens. You see his paint everywhere. I mean, at least online. Fluid is another good practice paper. Okay. I know. Even though it dries up quickly, I've been happy with the Strathmore paper for practice. I think it's great for that. And even, I mean, seriously, a good majority of the first things I did was all on Strathmore paper. I got tons of it. Like, I can't begin to tell you, I've got myself a collection. Like, I'll have to bring them all out one day. But right now, I am. We used those metal wire like file holders you see, like if you go to a stationery store or go to like a thrift store now, where it's got like the wire. I could just draw the damn thing. It's kind of like this, and a metal wire going across like this, and then it's got the metal dividing wires. That one was way off, but we'll just pretend I didn't do that one. So kind of like that. Forget this one. The erasers are going to ruin this, but one of those things from a side view, right? Like just a little stand to hold file folders upright. I'm using that to put my paper in vertically, and I have it over on a drawer or a shelf over there. And then I just do the largest paper on the right, and I work my way down to the smallest. And I just have a collection of paper over there because I've been experimenting with a bunch of them over time. But most of it is just to have a place to put them. I found that if I store all of them together vertically, they all fall over. If I store them flat, I have to fight to get to the bottom of the pile. So the only way I was able to make any sort of sense of storing them is using a little stand like that. It just made so much more sense. For nice pieces, you'd use Arches. Fabriano is best at not tearing with masking or tape. I get that. Yeah, I get that. Like basically the fibers of it hold it together better, probably because it contains real cotton. And when the paper gets wet, then dries, it remains together. Cheaper paper that's like cellulose, is that right? Cheaper paper, when it gets wet, it swells, and when it dries, it doesn't always go back to the same thinness that it was when it was pressed or rolled out. And so that top layer is not as attached firmly to the paper beneath it, so it wants to pull away. I've seen that a lot. Some of it is I found this technique on how you pull the tape off, but yeah, some of it for sure is the quality of the paper. I completely get that. These all but fluid are 100% cotton, 140 pounds. You've got 100% cotton Strathmore? Is like what is this made out of? Like now I have to ask the question. Uh, Archins for sure. This is I always have to assume when it doesn't say that it has no cotton or very little cotton because it doesn't want to call out its feelings. I did see that there is a 500 series Strathmore. Forgot Strathmore. Yeah, Strathmore for sure. I don't think is, but they do have, like I said, there is a much more expensive 500 series. I'm curious if that might be their only like cotton, 100% cotton one. Must have looked that up later. I forget what color front cover it is because they have like a 100 through 400. And the lower hundreds are crap. Like you can't use them for anything. Like you might be able to use them for scratch paper to check colors, like I did over there. Um, Also, that's what this is for me. Oh my gosh, I got a cheap giant box of this cheap paper in bulk, 5x7, uh, like so, right? Which looks like it might be good. It's incredibly thin, but excuse me. My purpose for this, was I had a thought about printing some templates on paper through my laser printer that I've got. And I was able to do that with this paper because it is lightweight. I just put the damn thing up. It is upside down. Is it even on the box? It's 230 GSM. So 140 pound is 300. This is less than that. It's 230. I don't know what that converts to in pounds, but 100, 110, 120, something like that, maybe. So it's definitely a good bit thinner. Uh, the um, the thicker 140-pound paper, I cannot get it to go through my printer. It's too thick. When it tries to curl to go around the rollers, it jams. This stuff doesn't because it's thinner. So I'm able to kind of fake it. But I don't know what I'm going to do about my plan to do that. I think I want to do the printing stuff on paper again for like tests, experiments, quickies, things like that. But I'm going to end up probably getting an inkjet printer at some point, which allows thicker paper and is water resistant because if you get the right kind of ink for an inkjet printer, it'll be water resistant, so it will not bleed when you paint over it. So since I can't really use it for what I intended, I use it for all my scratch paper when I want to do stuff like this, just experiment with the colors on things. I don't use it for anything important at all. So let me look at it. Literally, seriously, all I did on this paper was this, and look at how rippled the other side of it is. Just from that, I mean, it just warps immediately. If you wet this full piece of paper down, it destroys it. I don't even think you can stretch it. I think it would just fall apart. Anyway, it's enough yammering about that crap. Uh, so yeah, um, use the 400 multi-use one for a hot press alternative. I do have one set of hot press paper over there. I'm still trying to learn how hot press works because I started on cold press and 95% of what I had is cold press. But my one hot press I've got, I'm still trying to figure out how to work it for anything I would do. I find it works very similarly to the mineral paper, except it's paper and not plastic or whatever stone materials that mineral paper is made out of. Uh, it certainly does not feel like it absorbs the same, and your mistakes are far more obvious on it. You can kind of get away with murder with cold press paper. I found. You found even artist a curl? Yeah. I mean, I think it's just a matter of, I mean, it's how you use it, right? Like, this, this was artist paper, and I went fairly edge to edge, aside from the tape on that, and it curled a little bit. I mean, everything does a little bit. The only thing I have not done is I say the only thing, that's a lie. One of the things that I have wanted to try that I have not yet done is stretching paper. I've never done that before. I thought that would be an interesting experiment to do someday, but I don't have all the materials I need to do that. I need some sort of sturdy backboard or cardboard or whatever, probably not cardboard, some sort of sturdy backboard to put the paper on. And I need that, I got water on this somehow. Yeah, I'll add water on it. It must have splashed when I was rinsing. Um, I'm sorry, getting that water activated tape and then like wetting the paper down fully front and back, dabbing it, and then putting it on that backdrop piece, putting the water activated tape on it to hold it down and letting it dry totally overnight or 24 hours or whatever. And then paint on it, do all the stuff you're going to do with it, and then you cut it out from the back floor. Um, you don't peel the tape away because it's like permanently bonded to the paper at that point, but that holds it down so well on the edges that it can't help but remain straight, right? So it's totally something I want to try. Um, but I don't have the space nor the immediate desire to do it. Cause like, I mean, I need to get better at what I do and like the most: space, nebula, galaxy, those sorts of things. And I want to get really good at one particular genre before I figure out like, is it worth my while to try to do that to get really straight edges? And I'm like, I don't really think it is. I'm not going to be hanging it in an art gallery. At most, if I have something like this, or big like this, I'll get a frame for it and that will flatten it just fine. It's going to be behind glass or plastic or whatever. That will straighten it and I'll be fine. I'm not going to be hurt, by that. Yeah. So some of my other stuff over here that I was playing with, this is one of my more recent ones that I did. I love how this one came out. Super abstract and fun. Play with salt in some areas on it as well. All right. So yeah, that's it. I'm done. I'm not gonna keep farting around with it. But I will on Monday come back to work on this Aurora tree. And I'm gonna figure out some stuff to put around it. I'll finish making the trunk and the shadow underneath it. I'll figure out something to put above it as a star as well. Whoa. It still works. If you were to hang something, you do 600-pound arches. It also warps a very tiny amount. 600 pounds of ads going. If you can still hear me, I'll hang out and chitter and chatter through the ads. Um, yeah, on Monday, I'll come back to this and figure out a plan of action for doing the remaining parts of it and maybe do like a wreath, not wreath, garland or something around it, and something to do as a star, something Aurora, maybe space, maybe sky themed. Maybe we'll do some wintry things around it because Aurora's normally further north. Maybe we'll do like a satellite or space station or something up on top. We'll see. But yeah, did you do the sample one also? The sample, this one? Yeah. Yeah. This one here. I did Monday. You can tell it's mine because of the crappy handwriting on it. Yeah, so I did this on Monday. Did a little Starship Voyager from Star Trek on top. Did my little nebula for the tree design, and the trail behind it, behind the ship, is the garland on it. I thought that was super cute. And it worked out really well. So that gave me the idea, let's try different designs. And Donna suggested Aurora because I sent her some Aurora pictures from earlier in the week that my coworkers took. And so we copied one of them, kind of, for this color. So yeah, I'll figure out what to do with this on Monday. It could be anything, guys. I don't know. Maybe I'll do trees behind it like a forest. I don't know. I'll figure something out. And then we'll figure out what to do with this last 4x6 cutout. Maybe another greeting card. And then I think I'm going to be fully stocked for greeting card options of the season. And then we could work on something else. I did this on Monday at the same time I did that Star Trek style tree as well. Little snowflakes and the little balls and the the tips of them, I use some metallic watercolor so you can see it shimmers between the red and the greenish, and this one too. I love the metallics. Metallics are so much fun to play with. I wish I could do better with them. I'll play it. But yep, that's it. I'm done. I'm gonna stop. I will be back on Monday. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. Let me do some quick shout outs and then I'm gonna head on out. Let's see here. First up, we have ba, 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 ba. Goddess Whispers. Goddess Whispers does a lot of crafting streams and gaming streams. Her primary crafting is crochet, but she has been leaning into watercolor and then just a lot of other options. One of my favorites she did was working with turmeric to do solar photography, basically, where you expose the turmeric painted paper to light and it makes it kind of more transparent. And the things that you leave behind, I'm trying to remember, does it make it more brown? I've already forgotten. Isn't that stupid? Anyway, you put objects on top of it that obfuscate the light from getting to the paper, and I forget which. Either the spots underneath remain yellow, which is I think what happens, and then the remaining parts get exposed. One part gets darker, one part gets lighter. I don't remember, but those came out super cool. And then okay, art is here. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. And John is on. Who is John? John. What is John's username? And I will look them up and we can rate them. Watercolor. Do they have the watercolor tag? Let's see. Watercolor Sam, me, vintage watercolors. I hope they come right now. Jay, Rosella. Let's look them up. Copy. Using with percent enter key. Okay. There they are. All right. Yeah, sounds good to me. Let's raid on over. I'm going to go ahead and pick them. There they are. All right. Well, again, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm going to go ahead on out. Thank you guys so very much. I absolutely appreciate y'all for being here. My name is Bear, but I go also by Barely Watercoloring pretty much anywhere. So feel free to, if anything, check me out on Instagram. I tend to post everything I do on there, good, bad, and ugly, unless I really, really hate it. So yeah, check me out there. All right, guys. Have a great rest of your weekend. I will see you all on your own streams if you do, or on Monday when I'm back on. All right. Bye, guys.